good to be here. Yes, ma'am?
Why do you have 5?
And only one reward. It's a very good question. It just, trial and error. I found that most people were able to identify a single reward that they would give themselves over and over, but when it came to punishments, most people were unable to find a single punishment. They ended up doing like wash the car, clean the garage, a whole series, and it was arbitrary. I've seen the reverse. I've seen some people end up with 4 or 5 rewards and only one punishment. Like skipping TV. I'm a TV nut. If you ask me to skip TV, I could see that as being the same punishment over and over. But just by trial and error, I found most people, it would be one reward and a series of punishments. But it could certainly be the reverse. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am?
Do you find that people reward themselves much more than they'll...
Do I find that people will reward themselves? Yes, this is America. This is the 90s. Definitely people... punishment is where it does require a little bit of discipline, which is why I urge them, don't make the punishments massive. You know, if you say the first day I don't generate 4 kept appointments, I'm going to go home and re-landscape the backyard, you know, they're just not going to do it. You know, or I'll paint the exterior of my house. The punishments should be small but meaningful. Skip TV, wash the car, do the dishes by hand. I hate washing windows, so every day I screw up, I'm going to do a different room in the house, not the whole house. A different room, small punishment, just that little sting. You know, it would have been easier to pick up the phone. You know, just something that reminds you. Shine your shoes if you don't like shining shoes. You know, I said doing yard work. I happen to enjoy yard work. I see that as a pleasurable experience. That would be on my reward side. Make sure it is something that's a definite punishment for you. Any other questions? All right, then let's move on. Just for the benefit of those who are not at Greenleaf, I do have to do a couple of preliminary comments here before we move into the next section. As I mentioned earlier, I think there are at least 3 ways you can internalize goals. One is with rewards and punishments. Yet another way is through the use of repeated visualizations. As I pointed out, anything you do 21 days in a row is going to tend to create a habit or a center of attention at the subconscious level. And the theory holds that if you repeatedly visualize a goal, you can also inject that into your subconscious mind by doing it repeatedly. I tend to use a terminology that you've heard used in the past about someone's self-image. I believe an individual's self-image is going to have a lot to do with how far they go in this business. In other words, if you see yourself as a $100,000 a year producer, chances are you will work very hard to get to that $100,000 a year level, and then when you do get to the $100,000, you may find yourself kind of stuck there. You know, not able to get to the 150 to 200 or 250 level because you've seen yourself as a $100,000 a year producer. Of course, unfortunately, a lot of people have a lot lower estimations of themselves. They see themselves as $35,000 or $50,000 a year producers, and consequently, they have trouble getting to that 100, 150, 200 level. I believe that little picture you carry around inside your head has a lot to do with what you're unconsciously striving for. Once again, I call it the subconscious self-image. Next question. What is your subconscious self-image? I mean, if it's such a powerful thing, what is it? Do any of you know what your subconscious self-image is? If I asked you to look inside yourself right now and discover that little picture inside your head, would you be able to do it? It's not hard to do. Take a minute, try to remember the last time you took a bath or a shower. If you try to remember taking a bath or a shower, you've probably unconsciously brought forth a little picture of you. Think about it. When you remember taking a bath or a shower, isn't it kind of like you mentally took your mind outside of your body and there you are standing in that shower or sitting in that bathtub? It's not the way it really happened. When you were taking your bath or your shower, you were seeing things through your eyes. So if you're remembering it the way it really happened, all you should be seeing now are tiles on the wall or fixtures on the bathtub. But most people don't do that. Most people see a picture of them in there. Take a good look at that picture, because that is probably your subconscious self-image. That's what you think you look like in relation to the world around you. And it has implications. If you just pulled out a picture of an overweight person, chances are you're going to have a weight problem until you change the picture, no matter what diet you get on. You can get on the world's greatest diet, drop 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, but if you still see yourself as overweight, you'll tend to gain the weight right back to conform to that picture. The example I use, of course, is Oprah Winfrey, who at one time lost something like 67 pounds in 6 months. And then 6 months later, she gained it right back again, because she had a picture of herself as an overweight person. Now, in order to correct that, much to her credit, she got on a sensible program, started dropping weight gradually, and started changing her picture of herself. You know, my wife had taped some of her programs. She apparently, after she had this debacle where she gained it all back again, she had a series of 3 or 4 different programs where she brought people on her program who had at one time been very overweight and then lost the weight and kept it off permanently. And of course, the idea behind the program, from Oprah's point of view, is how did you do it? You know, what was your secret? I keep losing it, gaining it, losing it, gaining it. How did you lose it and finally keep it off? And she kept hearing the same thing. Oprah, I had to change the way I thought about myself. You know, for years, I would think of myself as an overweight person. I'd go to meetings and parties, and I'd try to unconsciously, I'd be looking for other overweight people, and we'd all kind of get together. And what do you think we always talked about? The latest diet, our weight problem, you know, food. I had to stop doing that. When I went to parties, I had to deliberately start hanging out with thin people as I started losing the weight, because I wanted to start thinking of myself as a thin person. I did things I would never do before, one lady said. She said, I started forcing myself to wear two-piece bathing suits. All my life, I always thought of myself as being too fat to wear a two-piece bathing suit. Well, this time, when I started to lose the weight, I forced myself to get comfortable in a two-piece bathing suit. I started to see myself as a thin person. What they're basically saying is, through repetition and proper motivation, they started to change their image of themselves. They forced themselves to start thinking like a thin person. Now, if you think like a thin person, you're going to act like a thin person. I believe the same principles hold true for income production. If you think like a $50,000 a year producer, you're going to go out there and act like a $50,000 a year producer. If you start thinking like a $250,000 a year producer, you're going to start to act like a $250 a year producer. And what's the difference? You know, sometimes it's not that much. It's 3:45. You know, I've set 3 appointments. My stated goal is to set 4. One part wants to go home. The other part knows I should be sitting here. What's the $50,000 a year producer likely to do? I'll go home because I can get away with setting 3 appointments and still make $50,000 at the end of the year. In the back of my mind, I got this little cash register going. And I know I can take these little shortcuts and still end up at the end of the year with my $50,000, because that's where I see myself. Now, what's the person who thinks like a $250 a year person going to do? I'm going to sit here even though I don't feel like it. I've got a headache. It's been a tough day. I don't care. I need 4 appointments, because if I'm going to get to where I see myself going, I need to be producing 4 a day, 5 days a week. And that's mental. It's the way you see yourself. I'm in the middle of an appointment. One part of me does not feel like asking for referrals. I mean, the appointment just hasn't gone that well to begin with, and now here I am going to be asking for referrals. I don't feel like doing this. But in the back of my mind, I know I should be trying to produce 5 good recommendations per appointment. Who's going to skip out without asking for referrals? The $50,000 a year thinker. Who's going to sit there, even though they don't feel like it, and crank up the courage and generate the recommendations? The person that thinks like a $250 a year producer. So your thinking, to a large extent, will influence your behavior on a daily basis. Think like a $250 a year producer, you'll act like one. Okay, how do you get to think like one? Sounds good, how do you do it, right? Well, I don't know if I mentioned this in Greenleaf or not, but I'm a very big proponent of the mentor system. I just think if you want to be making $250 a year, you ought to find someone in the business making $250 a year and stick to them like glue. I had an honor last Friday, a week ago today. I did my presentation in front of the McCloskey Agency. Do any of you know who Dick McCloskey is? He is the current president of the Gamma organization. He is a very well-known general agent out in Irvine, California, and he is generally credited with being the big originator of the mentor system in the insurance industry. He has put together a program from start to finish for mentoring that is just outstanding, and he's written a couple of dozen articles in Gamma journals and other publications. This guy is the #1 proponent in the country, in the insurance industry, of the mentor system. And we had a conversation after my presentation, and I've been telling him, you know, for years, in its very simplest form, I've been urging agents to develop a mentor. You know, because you spend all your time with people making $50,000 a year, chances are you're going to become an expert on how to make $50,000 a year. And that's what people do. That's what average producers do. They tend to hang out together, and they all huddle around, and they say, how are we going to become more successful? You know, how are we going to get to that 250 range? They don't know. If they knew, they'd be doing it. Who should you be spending your time with? You know, people that are doing it. Who in here has a mentor? Let me see by show of hands. Did you seek that mentor out, sir? Were they matched up? Were you matched up with them? He sought you out? Okay. Often, when someone raises their hand and says, you know, I have a mentor, I'll say, did you seek this person out? Well, you know, as a matter of fact, I did. I found out that he or she was the top agent in the agency, and they were where I wanted to be, so I called them up one day, and I asked them out to lunch, and I asked if they'd help me, you know, develop my business. And I often say to them, when you ask that very successful agent to help you, did they shoo you away? Did they say, get away from me, kid, you're bothering me? And they, oh no, they were just flattered to be asked. And I mean, this person spent hour upon hour with me, took me out on some appointments, you know, gave me some leads. I mean, just helped me so many different ways. I can't believe this person was so generous with their time and their knowledge. And that's the typical feedback from people who develop mentors. Most people are just surprised at how much they give away. And it's really not surprising if you think at it logically. You know that top 2.14% on that bell-shaped curve? Remember how few there are up there? You ever hear the concept it's lonely at the top? I mean, it really is. There aren't that many people out there willing to do what it takes to become successful, and often when you connect with these heavy hitters, it's like, wow, finally, someone like me. I've been looking for someone that's motivated as I am. And they often will devote hour upon hour to helping you build your business. So I think, and what happens when you start spending time with people that are very successful? You start to develop the characteristics and the attitude of those kinds of successful people. Here's another thing, I joke about it, but I mean it sincerely. Another real big kick a lot of people get from spending time with very successful agents. You know, you go out on a couple of appointments, you go out to lunch with them a couple times, you spend a few hours with them, and a lot of times you walk away scratching your head saying, if that moron can be making $250 a year, I can definitely do it. You know, is it because when you hang out with them, you start to recognize, you know, these people are not smarter than I am, they're not better than I am. His presentation or her presentation is no different than the presentation I'm doing. It's not that, it's just that they know how to do it and you don't. They've got the knowledge, they've got the drive or whatever that you are, for whatever reason, at that point lacking. So another real important kick I think you get from spending time with successful people is that you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I thought you had to be, you know, super smart to be that successful. They're not super smart, so I guess I can do it too. So that's another real important attribute, just to being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's one way you can do it. And here's another way. I believe repeated visualizations is another thing you can do. I think you should be sitting down with yourself regularly, you know, knowing where you want to go. Where do you want to be 2 years from today, 5 years from today? You know, what are your goals in the business? And sitting down, a few minutes of quiet reflection, control your breathing, get yourself into a very relaxed state, and just picture it as clearly as you can. You try to imagine it as vividly as you can, as if you have already accomplished it. Don't worry necessarily about how you're going to do it. Don't tell yourself, you know, I got to be doing 4 appointments a day and I've got to be out there sending out those mailers and meeting those new business owners. You want to just be sitting there as if you're there. What you want to try to do is capture the essence of what it's going to feel like, of what you're going to be like reaching that goal. And if the goal is 250, if I were you, I'd sit down and say, okay, if I were making 250 today, well, what kind of house would I really want to live in? You know, what kind of clients would I really want to be dealing with? How many apps a year is that really going to be for me? What's my average commission really going to be? What kind of product am I really going to be selling? What kind of car do I really want to be driving in? If I'm a boat fanatic, what kind of boat do I really want to be sailing in? As if you have made the money, as if you've really done it already. Figure out where you want to go and then start preparing for it. Mental rehearsal. Not once, not twice. How many days in a row? 21. If you'll do it, the theory says, if you'll do it 5-10 minutes a day for 21 days in a row, within 21 days, you'll have it. You will have captured the essence. Now, people who do these repetitious visualizations often tell me that, you know, it's kind of strange. First couple times I tried to do it, my mind wandered all over the place. I mean, I had a hard time concentrating. I'd never done anything like this before. All right, 250, you know, sounds good to me. And I sat down after I got out of your seminar and I tried to imagine what it's going to be like making 250. And I said, all right, I'm going to spend 5 minutes picturing myself as a $250,000 a year producer. 10 seconds later, I was listening to the kids out in the front yard playing with their toys. And I said, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be thinking about 250. You know, a minute later, I'm thinking about the appointment I'm supposed to be out on Monday. I mean, my mind wandered all over the place. I had a real hard time fixating my attention because I had never done that before. But you know, it was strange. I persisted. I tried it 5 minutes a day, every day, you know, like you said, for 21 days. And it was weird. It was like the 7th or 8th time I did it. I don't know what it was, but something clicked. And all of a sudden, my mind stopped wandering. All of a sudden, it was just like I was there. I mean, you know, you talk about getting the essence of it. I mean, it was like I could see it real clear in my mind. I knew what I was going to feel like. I knew what I wanted. I kind of had that feeling inside. And I just know now, I know that within 5 years, I'm going to be making that kind of money. Or I know I'm going to be an MDRT qualifier next year. Or I know I'm going to be driving around that BMW or whatever within a couple of years. It's that kind of internal drive that you're looking for. And it does, in most cases, require some repetition. Now, back to my bell-shaped curve. I'm sure you've all heard the cases of people that go to a hypnotist to stop smoking, and they go once, and they never touch another cigarette for as long as they live. You've heard that, right? Guess what? That really happens. Care to venture a guess how often that happens? About 2% of the time, you get these super subjects that will stop smoking, change their eating habits, completely remotivate, one shot, never have to do it again. But that's honestly the exception rather than the rule. For the vast majority, if they would take a goal and repetitiously visualize it for a month, 21 days to a month, that's how long it takes for most people. Some people take 7 days, some people 14 days. But the theory says if you'll do it every day for 21 days, you'll have it within 21 days. So what I'd like to do here this morning is show you some of the technique that's involved. They are essentially basic techniques of self-hypnosis. If it makes you feel better, I will call it something else. I've heard it called autogenic training. I've heard it called creative visualization. I've heard it called all kinds of different things. But what it basically is are simple techniques of self-hypnosis. For those of you who are at Greenleaf, the next few minutes may be a bit of a repetition, but I want to first show you some suggestibility tests. The bell curve predicts that there will be a percentage of you that are very good visualizers. Most of you will be average visualizers. It also predicts there's probably going to be 1 or 2 of you that get absolutely nowhere with this technique, and that's okay. Not everybody is a good visualizer. That's one of the reasons why I'm teaching 3 different approaches today. If you find that this is not something you're comfortable with, you just don't like it, you're not good at visualization, you have trouble thinking in pictures, this may not be the way you want to go. But statistically speaking, about 80% of you will find it a very viable technique. Let's first find where you fit on that bell-shaped curve. Let me show you some simple suggestibility tests. Would you uncross your feet and uncross your legs? Put your feet flat on the floor. Rest your backs comfortably against the backs of the chair. Make yourselves as comfortable as you can. Would you make 2 fists? Extend your fingers so that your index fingers are extended. Bring your knuckles together so that your thumbs are touching and your fingers look like 2 little goalposts. Okay, this is a little test called the Comstock test. It will give you a clear idea of what visualization is all about. Would you please pick a spot on your right thumbnail and look at it? Don't take your eyes off it. Keep looking at that spot. Keep focusing on that spot. Take a nice deep breath now. Breathe in deeply. Exhale completely. Again, breathe in deeply. Exhale completely. One more time. Breathe in deeply. As you exhale, close your eyes down tight. But keep breathing slowly and deeply and concentrate on the tips of your index fingers. I'm going to ask you to imagine that you can feel the tips of your index fingers starting to pull closer and closer and closer together. Imagine you can feel the tips of your fingers drawing together, pulling together, tugging together, closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer until soon they are actually touching, as if the tips of your fingers were magnets, as if the tips of your fingers were 2 powerful magnets being drawn together, pulled together, tugging closer and closer and closer and closer. Now, I'm simply going to count backwards from 3 down to 1. By the time I reach the number 1, the tips of your fingers will actually be touching. Feel this happening. 3, they want to touch. They need to touch. They are magnets, pulling and tugging, tugging and pulling closer and closer and closer. 2, like magnets now. Tighter and tighter, pulling and tugging, tugging and pulling. 1. Now, all the way together as if they were magnets. The count of 3, open your eyes, 1, 2, and 3, and look up here. Excellent. Now, looking around the room, I can see all the variety of responses. Most of you. Let me just do a survey. How many of you got your fingertips to touch within a minute or 2? Can I see by show of hands? If you look around the room, if we had 100 people in the room, there'd be about 68% that would say, yeah, after a minute or 2, I felt the fingers going together. 2 minutes at the most, they were all the way touching. That's the average response. If we did have 100 people in the room, believe it or not, there'd be 1 or 2 that would still have their fingers together. I mean, just be so into it, they forget to pull their hands apart, and some people can't pull their hands apart. I mean, you should see it to believe it. It's like they're like, you have to go up and kind of snap them out of it. There's a percentage that gets so locked in on this idea that you actually have to snap them out of it, about 2%. And then if we did have 100 people, there'd probably be 1 or 2 of you that had absolutely no response at all. Now, this is the stupidest thing I've done so far this week. I mean, nothing. 0. Now, and then everything in between. People whose fingertips come together, a little bit, half the way, 3/4 of the way, almost touching. You get the bell curve at work with a large group of people. How many of you noticed when your fingers did come together that it was not a smooth, deliberate motion? It wasn't like, you know, oh, okay. They pulled together in a choppy or a jerky way. That's called a vesiculated motion. And that's what a hypnotist always looks for, to see if the unconscious mind is doing it. Because every once in a while you get a highly motivated person, I really want this to work. You know, that's not what you're looking for. You're not looking for a person forcing it to happen. You're looking for the unconscious mind making it happen. This sounds crazy, but you know, if you were to do this visualization, this thing about your fingertips, magnets, if you did that every day for a month, 5 minutes a day, within a month, you would be unable to get your hands apart. I mean, you'd have to see that to believe it. It's called, you know, hysterical paralysis, and it really does exist. That's not what we're here for, folks. That's the good news is that, but you know, 5 minutes a day of imagining your fingertips were sealed together, locked together, you wouldn't get them apart. They'd literally, you'd have to re-hypnotize them to get them to undo it. Now let me show you another little example. This is called the Comstock test. This is called the arm rising and falling test, and this is probably the best predictor of all as to who's going to be a better than average subject. I'm going to use this next little test to kind of filter out of the group those of you that are better than average subjects. So in this next little thing we do, if during the test you hear or feel me come up and put my hand on your shoulders and say a few words to you, I assure you I'm not getting weird, I'm not playing footsie with you or anything. It's just I've identified you as good subjects, and I may ask you to come forward and help me do a little demonstration. What I intend to do is find those of you in here that are better than average, bring a couple of them up, do a little demonstration, show you what this is, how this works, what can be accomplished with it, and then I'm going to send those folks back to their seats, and I'm going to teach all of you how to do this as a goal-setting technique at home. So basically, I just want to do a little demonstration with the better than average subjects to show you what can be accomplished with this, so that all of you have an understanding of it, and then show you the technique or the basic techniques of it to do at home. Questions or comments? You don't have to participate if you don't want. You're under no obligation. But yes, Eric.
Have you ever read the Silva book?
Silva Mind Control, which I maintain is very similar in technique to what I'm doing. I've talked to many proponents of Silva Mind Control. No, it's completely, totally different. I respectfully disagree. I think it's identical in technique. Also, TM, Transcendental Meditation, very similar in technique. You know, they talk about levels of experience. I'm talking about levels of trance. They talk about the interaction between the prana and the karma. I'm talking about the interaction between the conscious and the subconscious. But I've been on radio and TV programs with proponents of TM, and they get furious. TM is not hypnosis. It's different. I'm sorry, personal opinion. I could be wrong. It's the same. It's what you do with it. You know, hypnosis is very goal-oriented. No one ever came to me when I was in private practice and said, I want to be hypnotized to see what it feels like. It was always, I want to be hypnotized to stop smoking, to lose weight, to reach my goals, to stop biting nails, to do, you know, it was never just to experience it. Whereas TM is a much more phenomenological, much more experiential thing. But I think they're identical in terms of states of mind. But that's my opinion. They disagree very sharply with me.
What is TM?
Transcendental meditation. It's a meditative technique. And what you're finding here in the 90s is more and more some of the standard scientific approaches are coming around to looking at these alternate viewpoints. They're seeing that any kind of a meditative technique, call it what you like, but if you would sit down in this crazy high-pitched world that we are in and just spend a couple of minutes regularly just letting it go, you know what I mean, control your breathing, let the tension go out of your body, and just picture peaceful or pleasant things, that has a beneficial effect overall in your body. They see a lot of stress reduction going on there. You know, a lot of people have high blood pressure, start to control the blood pressure, allergies start to be reduced, sleeping patterns start to return to normal. If they would just once a week, once a day, once a month, do something regularly to let go of the tension. We are in a culture where you tend to get wrapped up in things and you just don't let go. And that can be detrimental to your body. But learning to just regularly relax. DeSerbo, I hate to keep going back to him, but we've had 3 or 4 conversations since I met him last week, and he was saying that, you know, I'm going full bore at what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing, but I never let go. I'm afraid that if I calm down, if I take a vacation, my whole organization is going to fall apart. I need to learn how to relax. And I was explaining to him that when it comes to relaxation, you don't have to do it every day. You don't even have to do it like every week. If you have some regular, the key to stress reduction is having a periodic activity that you know you're going to let go. I've seen some CEOs of major corporations once a year take a week and go fly fishing. And as long as they know when all heck is breaking loose around them that at the end of the year they're going to spend that week in Montana, they can handle the stress. It's when they don't see any end to it. It's when they have no outlet at all. You know, so stress reduction could be once a day, could be once an hour, could be once a week, once a month, or once a year, but you got to have something that you know that you're going to do just to let it go. And as long as you have that knowledge of when it's coming, that seems to be enough for most people. It's the people that don't give any, you know, DeSerbo right now potentially is a walking time bomb because he doesn't have any way of letting it go. He's gotten, you know, he worked real hard for 6 or 7 years to get this organization built. Now he's kind of afraid. He said, I'm afraid to go away for a week. I'm afraid if I come back, you know, my staff is all going to fall apart. Nothing's going to happen. My clients aren't going to want me and love me anymore. You know, he's like, he jokes about it. And I know that's intellectually, I know that's nuts. But I need to learn how to let go. So we were talking about things he could do to kind of start with stress reduction. Any other questions before we start? Okay, this one's called the arm rising and falling test. Once again, it entails that you visualize some things. So if you uncross your feet and uncross your legs, put your feet flat on the floor. Send your arms straight out in front of you, that the palms of your hands are facing each other. Your thumbs are pointed to the ceiling. Would you take your left hand, turn your left hand palm upward? Beautiful. Would you go back and look at that spot you were looking at before on your right thumbnail? So I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes focused on that spot until I ask you to close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Beautiful. Exhale. Completely. Again, breathe in deeply. Beautiful. Exhale. Completely. One more time. Breathe in deeply. As you exhale, close your eyes down tight. But keep breathing slowly and deeply now. Concentrate on relaxing. Concentrate on letting go. Just for the next few minutes, concentrate on letting go. Breathing slowly and deeply. Use your imagination and try to imagine that you can feel a thick, heavy book in the palm of your left hand. Imagine that. In the palm of your left hand, there's a thick, heavy book. And as you visualize that book, as you imagine that feeling, soon you will feel your left arm and your left hand growing heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. You can feel your left arm being drawn down, 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 toward the table or towards your lap. Now I'm going to slowly count backwards from 3 down to 1. And by the time I reach the number 1, your left arm will be so heavy, it will have been pushed all the way down toward the table or towards your lap. Feel this happening. 3. Getting heavier and heavier. 2. Like a block of lead. Very, very heavy. 1. All the way down now. Now as your left arm keeps getting heavier and heavier, soon you notice your right arm feeling tingly and light. You notice your right arm getting tingly and light. Use your imagination. Imagine there's a string tied around your right wrist. A string that is connected to a giant balloon filled with helium gas. Your right arm is starting to get lighter and lighter. That balloon is pulling and tugging on your wrist. You feel your right arm beginning to lift and float and rise up into the air. Up, up, up into the air. Soon your right arm will be pointing straight up into the air, just like it was a balloon filled with helium gas. Just like it was a balloon. Once again, as I count backwards from 3 down to 1, by the time I reach the number 1, your right arm is pointing straight up into the air. 3. You feel your arm lifting and floating and rising higher and higher and higher. 2. It's rising up, up, up into the air. If I touch your shoulders, it'll only help you to relax. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Deep sleep. 3, 2, and 1. Straight up in the air. As I touch your shoulder, pull your arm. Just take a deep breath. Right? 3, 2, 1. Relax. 3, 2, and 1. Concentrate on relaxing. Concentrate on letting go. Keep concentrating. You are concentrating perfectly. So touch your shoulder and pull your arm. Just take a deep breath. 3, 2, Concentrate on relaxing. Concentrate on letting go. Touch your shoulder. Just take a nice deep breath. Nice deep breath. 3, 2, 1. Sleep now. Deep relaxation. Deep. Beautiful. Concentrate on relaxing. Concentrate on letting go. So touch your shoulder. Just take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. 3, 2, 1. Sleep way down. Deeper, deeper, deeper. All right, in just a moment, I'm going to count forward from 1 up to 3. When I reach the number 3, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and awaken, except for the folks whose shoulder I touched. If I touched your shoulder, I'm going to ask you to remain with your eyes closed and your body completely relaxed until I come up and speak with you again. Everyone else, however, wide awake at the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. If the rest of you just open your eyes up here for just a moment, excellent. I've got a couple of excellent subjects. I'm going to ask these folks to come up front and help me do a little bit of a demonstration if they'd be so kind. So I touch your shoulder, ma'am. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes without waking up. Your first name is?
Rebecca.
Still is Rebecca, I know. Would you volunteer? You did not come up front at Greenleaf, did you? You're a brand new subject for me, right? Would you help me videotape this, sir, if you don't mind? There you go. Rebecca, do me a favor, would you? See that spotlight up there?
Which one?
Anyone you want.
Okay.
Keep your eyes on it. Take a nice deep breath. Remember the relaxation you were feeling just a moment ago? 3, 2, 1. Sleep way down, deep asleep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep going deeper and deeper until I ask you to awaken. And it's this gentleman back here to help me. Count of 3. When I touch your shoulders, eyes wide open, still responding to the sound of my voice. 1, 2, and 3. Your first name is?
Jim.
Jim. Would you mind volunteering? Don't have to if you don't want, but if you would, I'd appreciate it. How you feeling, Jim?
Good, how are you?
Gonna feel better here in a minute. Any spotlight you like. Choice is yours.
All right.
Keep your eyes on that spot. Take a nice deep breath. Remember how you felt just a few minutes ago? 3, 2, 1. Sleep deeper. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I don't want him necessarily collapsing on Rebecca. I've got a couple of other folks here that are just outstanding subjects. I'd be foolish not to make use of them. Count of 3, eyes wide open. 1, 2, 3. How you doing? Would you volunteer? You don't have to if you don't want. Would you volunteer for me? Sure. You don't mind? Come on up front. I'm gonna have to grab a chair for you. You can leave that chair there, but just come on up front here and Sandy, and we'll. There are a number of others in here that are much better than average that I will probably not bring up front today, just for logistics. It'd be foolish to have everybody up front. How you feeling there, Sandy? Got to ask you a question. Do you think you're hypnotized? Have you ever been hypnotized before? Oh, okay, so you know the feeling and all. How do you feel right now?
Very relaxed.
Take a nice deep breath and just sleep, deep sleep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now we got 3 outstanding subjects here. Obviously, take a nice deep breath, all of you. Breathe in deeply. Beautiful. Exhale completely. And I'm just going to spend a moment asking you to go deeper to sleep. I'm just going to slowly count backwards from 5 down to 1. As I count backwards, use your imagination. Just imagine that you're going deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed, deeper and deeper to sleep. And by the time I reach number 1, I want you to imagine that you are at least 5 times deeper into relaxation than you are right now. Your entire body, loose, limp, relaxed, and unwound. Here we go. 5, you're going deeper and deeper. 4, way down deep. 3, deeper and deeper, loose, limp, relaxed, and unwound. 3, 2, keep going now, deeper and deeper. You're concentrating perfectly. 3, 2, and 1. Now sleep, deep, sound, peaceful sleep. Beautiful. Keep going deeper and deeper with each easy breath you take until I ask you to awaken. Right. Now I want to stop just for the benefit of the group, and especially those that have no idea what's going on here because they weren't at Greenleaf. These folks have identified themselves as being better than average visualizers, and it's not hard to do. You know, I'm asking to imagine the left hand heavy and the right hand light, and I mean, I'm looking around the room. There's some people's arms are straight in the air. Warning, you know, I mean, it's not hard to do to identify very good subjects. These people are able to take an idea, to picture it, and transmit the picture into action. In other words, you picture there's a heavy book in your arm, and it causes the arm to get so heavy that it goes down. You imagine or picture the tips of your fingers as magnets, and they act like they're magnets. Now, hopefully you understand the flow here. If you picture yourself making $250,000 a year, you'll act like a $250,000 a year producer. When you're able to take these images and transmit them into action, that's the key to this entire process. So these folks have identified themselves as being better than average visualizers. Why are they better than me? You know, I was there and I was trying to make my fingertips come together. They hardly came together at all. I was trying to imagine that book out there, and I could picture the book, but my arm only went down a little bit. Why are these people so good at it and I'm only getting minimal response? Well, I've always maintained that practice makes perfect. As far as I know, I've not interviewed any of these folks before today's session, but I'm willing to bet if you talk to these guys during the lunch hour, you're probably going to hear them report that this is very similar to something they've already experienced. A lot of times I get people who say, you know, I went to college, it was a very noisy dormitory, and I remember in college I taught myself how to zone out. When they were making noise in the back of the dorm, I would sit there and I'd get in this state of mind so I could concentrate on my books, and the music would be playing and people would be shouting. I didn't hear it. All I saw and all I was paying attention to was the books. Well, that's focus. Some people say I was an athlete in high school, and I was on the wrestling team, and I remember our coach used to lay us out on the mat and we'd try to picture ourselves doing a successful match, and I would get myself in this state of mind before that match where all I could think about was winning the match, and every time I did that, I would win. That's focus. You know highway hypnosis, you get behind the wheel of a car. I do that all the time. I mean, I get behind the wheel of the car, all I remember is when I pull into the driveway. Can't remember stopping at the stoplight, can't remember if I, you know, went through the red light or not. I mean, I just get so intent on what I'm doing. That's focus. I had painless childbirth, one woman said, you know, and I got in this state of mind to make the pain go away where I just went out in the front yard and started playing. I mean, I don't even remember the childbirth experience. That's focus. So I have no idea what these folks have done, but if you talk to them, they've probably already done something before they got here to make them good subjects. I mean, it doesn't just happen. These folks are good subjects because they've practiced it somewhere before. Now, that's good news. That means any of you could learn to do it if you are motivated to do it. Now let's see what we got here. We've got some very relaxed individuals. As I was talking about before in terms of stress reduction, you got to admit, this is relaxation. You know, this is real nice relaxation. The one universal report that people who go through this say is, boy, was I relaxed. I mean, they just let everything go. If all you did was spend a few minutes each day getting this relaxed, I think there are benefits from a stress reduction point of view just to let go like this every once. But there's more to it than that. Visualization can be used in a variety of ways. Let me give you another example. I want you all to use your imagination. I'm going to count backwards from 3 down to 1. When I reach number 1, I want you all to imagine that you've just been told the funniest joke in the entire world. You have just heard the punchline, the funniest joke in the world. Be creative, use your imagination. But boy, when you hear that joke, you're just going to start laughing so hard you won't believe it, and it'll just keep getting funnier and funnier and funnier until I clap my hands. 3, they are telling you this joke now, and already you can tell this is going to be a funny joke. 2, it is the funniest joke you have ever heard in your entire life. They're getting ready to tell you the punchline right now. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. You've just been told the punchline of the funniest joke in the entire world. Rebecca, it is absolutely rolling around in the chair, hilariously funny. Sandy, it's twice as funny as that. I mean, you've never had anything so funny in your life. It is outrageously, hilariously funny, and you'll just keep laughing harder and harder and harder and harder. In fact, when I stamp my foot, it gets 10 times funny. 10 times funnier. This is rolling around in the chair, outrageously, hilariously funny. It is 10 times funnier. Now, wait a second. 100 times funnier. This is the funniest thing you have ever heard in your entire life, and you'll just keep laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing until you hear me clap. Folks, please notice, this is not a ha 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 kind of laugh. I mean, this is a from the inside, guttural, face red, entire body involved. This is fun. This is a real laugh. Now, this in and of itself is kind of dramatic, I think. Come on, funnier than that. It is absolutely the funniest thing you've ever heard. That is interesting. This, to me, is even more interesting. Sleep. Now, they can stop on a dime. They had no idea when I was going to clap my hands. They had no cue as to when that hand clap was going to come, and they stop on a dime. Try that. Go home and try to laugh that hard and then stop suddenly like that without any warning. That's indicative of a real high degree of emotional control. Let's get some of these folks off the floor. The count of 3, eyes wide open, still responding. There you go. And you can have a seat up here. I'm sorry you fell on the floor there, Rebecca. How you doing? You feeling okay? Let me ask you a question. Do you think you're wide awake? At least an honest answer. Do you think you're out of control?
No.
No. So, yeah? No? Do you think you're hypnotized right now? Be honest.
Yeah.
You do? Good. Sleep way down deep. Sleep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There we go. Obviously, these folks are able to visualize quite good. Okay. At the count of 3, I'm going to ask all of you to open your eyes without waking up. Sit up straight in the chair, feeling great. 1, 2, and 3. Sitting up straight in the chair, feeling fantastic. Here we go. Sandy, how you doing? Now, you said you had been hypnotized before. Under what circumstances? Stage hypnosis? Office?
No, it was because I had such a fear of having dental work done that I went to a hypnosis to learn how to do self-hypnosis. I can't talk.
No, you're doing great.
Self-hypnosis to put myself into another place during those situations.
And were you successful with it? Good. And so you were able to do painless dentistry with it? Very, very good. Were either of you at Greenleaf? So both of you were. So both of you are pretty well fluent with what some of the things I had done at Greenleaf. Were you, by any chance, a subject for me at Greenleaf? How could I have missed you at this? Such an excellent hypnotic subject. You were not at Greenleaf, correct?
No.
Is that fair to say? So the only reason I'm asking is I was hoping to get someone who's not really, aware of what I'm trying to accomplish, so it is a little bit more dramatic. But you're feeling real good right now, right? Very relaxed, very comfortable. I presume you know this relaxed and this comfortable that you're stuck like glue to the seat of your chair. In fact, the harder you try to get up, the tighter you will stick, and you will remain stuck until I clap my hands. Go ahead and try, see what happens. Try as hard as you can, but the harder you try, the tighter you will stick. Your legs won't work, your arms won't work. You just can't do it until I clap my hands. But I want you to try, Sandy. I want you to feel it's important to try. Come on, you're not trying hard enough. Everybody's watching. I want you to feel it's really, really important to get up out of that chair. Come on, Sandy, you're not trying hard enough. The harder you try, the tighter you stick. It's impossible till I clap my hands. Sandy, try harder. Keep trying until I ask you to stop. I don't know, I can't remember exactly what I did at Greenleaf. I may have done this very demonstration because it's one of my more common ones. I use this little demonstration to demonstrate that money does not motivate people that much. Do you remember I was saying earlier today that money is a motivator, but kind of a transitory or just a slight motivator? Most people say, what motivates salespeople? Money motivates salespeople. Well, I maintain if money really motivated salespeople, you're not trying hard enough. Keep trying harder and harder and harder. Maybe Sandy's just playing along here. She seems like a really nice lady, and come on, you're not trying hard enough, Sandy. Try harder. let me show you something. The harder you try, the tighter you stick. Come on. The harder you try. Well, I'll tell you what, Sandy. I know, and you'll find it even more difficult because I'll tell you what, I'll give you $10 you get up out of the seat of that chair, but you're stuck like glue. I'll give you 20, stuck tighter. Tighter and tighter. I'll give you 40, Sandy, stuck tighter and tighter. Tighter and tighter. I'll give you 80. I'll give you 160. I'll give you $500 you get up out of that chair. I'll give you $500 if you get up out of that chair. I'll give you $1,000 if you get up out of that chair, Sandy. Sandy, I'll give you tighter and tighter, stuck like glue. The harder you try, the tighter you stick. I know. Remember that check you gave me this morning? I'll sign it over to you if you get up out of that chair. Tighter and tighter, stuck like glue. Stuck like the. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Take a nice deep breath. Nice deep breath. And sleep. Deep sleep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Now, how you feeling? Good. All right. You're wide awake? Everything's cool? Copacetic? Did you know you have marbles in your mouth? Try to talk. Can't talk until I touch your foot. What'd you say your name was? Try as hard as you can. All right. What's your last name? Where do you live? Was this your husband or something back here? Leave her that way. Oh, is it really?
Do the same to her sister.
You two are sisters, are you? Yeah. Try now. What's your name?
Rebecca.
Very interesting. How you doing?
Good.
Okay. Do you feel like you're out of control at all?
No.
No? Well, let's do a little test here. Remember that spot you were looking at before? Try as hard as you can to keep your eyelids open. Tell me when you're really trying. Just nod your head when you're really, really, really trying.
Trying to keep them open.
Trying to keep them open. Yeah, it sounds like an easy thing to do, doesn't it? Okay. Are you trying right now? Beautiful. Take a nice deep breath. Excellent. Sleep deeper. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Well, I guess you tried. Rebecca, try to keep your eyelids open. Try not to go back into a trance. Think you can do that? Can you do it? Take a nice deep breath. Beautiful. Sleep deeper than before. There you go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Loose, limp, relaxed, and unwound. Nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Beautiful. Exhale completely. Obviously, very, very good trancers, very, very good visualizers. All three of them are outstanding, and they are excellent. Would you take a moment and give me a hand for being so brave as to come up here? Now, a lot of the other things that I can do, or I usually do, I have done at Greenleaf, and there's no sense in showing you the same thing over and over again. So let me just open the floor to questions. Maybe for some of you who have not ever seen this before, or even those of you who have analyzed it since Greenleaf. Yes?
How many people were at Greenleaf?
They told me about half my group was going to be at Greenleaf. So I'm trying just not to repeat the thing for you, show you different stuff. I'll show you something I did not do at Greenleaf then. You may have heard of this hypnotic age regression. I'm going to ask both of you to, well, just you, Rebecca, with your eyes closed, I'm just going to sit up straight in the chair, still relaxed and comfortable, going deeper and deeper to sleep, deeper and deeper to sleep. Beautiful. Now, Rebecca, I'm going to start counting slowly backwards from 10 to 1, and as I count backwards, I want you to imagine that you're going backwards into time, back to a time when you were much, much younger, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years old. And the first question I need to ask you, is that okay with you? All right, now when I reach number 1, you will be a youngster. You will be either 5 or 6 or 7, real happy, real pleasant time in your life. You're going to go all the way back in time, and you will be there by the time I reach the number 1. Here we go now. 10, all the way back. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're there. Where are you?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten. What's your name?
Rebecca.
What's your last name?
Margay.
And where do you live?
In Middlebury.
And what's your address?
181 Carriage Drive.
And do you know your phone number?
758-1653.
And do you go to school? You're in kindergarten, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is in your kindergarten class?
Michelle, Lori, Billy Joe, Scott. Some people I can remember.
And what's your teacher's name?
I don't know.
Well, I'll show you. Close your eyes for just a second. Picture her face. Tell me when you can see her face.
See her face.
Now, her name will just pop into your mind. What's your teacher's name?
Sister Mary.
You think you could all do that? Want to see something even neater? Who's got a notebook that I can use, a notepad rather? May I borrow a pad of paper for just a moment? Maybe you've heard of this too. Have they taught you how to write or print your name yet? Would you do me a favor? Would you write your name for me? There you go. She has reverted back to the large block letters that people typically do in kindergarten. And what's fascinating about this is that if you could somehow dig up a sample of her handwriting at that point in her life, you know, sometimes parents save things like that. Everybody's got little nuances as to how they make the A's or dot the I's or loop the R. In her case, if you were to go back and look at an original sample of her handwriting when she was in kindergarten, it will be identical. And if we don't have the time to do this, but let's say I moved her forward to first grade, you'd see the handwriting change, second grade, third grade, all the way up to you see the modern signature. I mean, it will change each and every step of the way as you bring them forward into time as opposed to backward. Isn't that bizarre? Can you remember your telephone number when you were in kindergarten? Remember your address when you were in kindergarten? You know, if she was in first grade, she would name the people that sat ahead of her, behind her, on the side of her, left of her, on the right of her, teachers, TV programs they watched, all kinds of details. Police officers often use this. You're her sister? Show this to her afterwards. She's not going to believe it. Here you go, Larry. Police officers will often use this for witness recall. I'm sure you've all heard of people that have been hypnotized to remember license plate numbers and details of a crime scene and things that they aren't able to remember in a conscious state. Take a nice deep breath, Rebecca. 3, 2, 1, sleep. Way not deep. No, I didn't do that at Greenleaf, did I? Did I? Okay. I'm just trying to show you different things, you know, so as not to repeat what you have already seen. Yes, sir. Here's a strange thing. They are completely wide awake. If anything, they are more wide awake than normal. They are focused in their attention. The best analogy I can give you is daydreaming. You ever see a person in a daydream where their eyes are wide open, they're totally wide awake, but they've got themselves locked in on a thought. They're mentally reviewing an appointment they're going to, or they're thinking about going to Hawaii for vacation. They're not seeing what they're looking at. They're not hearing what's going on around them. You joke about it. You say that they look like they're a million miles away. That's the state of mind these folks are in, and it's a very, very common state. We all go in and out of it thousands of times a day. Let me do it to you very quickly. Do you know how to spell the word psychoanalysis? Would you try to spell it for me? Now, come here for a second. See what you just did? I asked you a question that requires a subconscious solution. I mean, let's face it, we don't usually walk around with the word psychoanalysis in our conscious memory. In order for him to recall that information, here's what you did, sir. You looked away from me, you stared up to the ceiling, you stopped moving around, your jaw dropped a little bit, and you said, and then you started coming back with the answer. Do you remember doing that? You looked up to the ceiling. What were you seeing? So you're wide awake, your eyes are wide open, you're looking at the ceiling but seeing the word psychoanalysis. You think you were fully conscious at that instant? Highway hypnosis, same thing. You ever see kids trance that in front of a TV program? You call them for dinner, they don't even hear you call your name? Same thing. We go in and out of this state of mind 1,000 times a day. These people are just staying there for a while.
Is that why Nick
Oh, there's a book called The Inner Game of Golf, which deals with nothing but learning how to visualize your shots. You're right, they go into this state of mind where they just close their eyes and they visualize the way they want it to go. And a lot of golfers will tell you, don't think about the swing. Let your body, let your mind do it. You should be picturing it and visualizing it and letting your body follow through. If anything, getting your mind, thinking about it screws it up. Like tennis player, if a ball's coming over the net at 100 miles an hour, you better not have to think about what to do. It better be second nature for you to be able to do it. So yeah, it's a very common state of mind, but most people never get around to using it for goal setting, and it can be used quite effectively. And here's how. I'm going to ask all of you to take a goal that you'd really like to accomplish, something you'd really like to see yourself accomplish having been a part of this program today. It could be anything you want, personal or business, but take a moment, locate the goal, and then I'm going to ask you to use your imagination and imagine that you are being mentally transported into the future to a time after you have already accomplished that goal that you set here today. Take as long as you need, but when you've located the goal and when you can picture yourself in the future, looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you want to feel, as if you have already accomplished it, just nod your head to signal me. Rebecca's got it. Can't tell if he's got it or not. His head's pretty buried there. You got the goal there, Sandy? Beautiful. Can you see it? Nice clear picture now, like you're there. As vivid, as clear, as real as you can make it, okay? Beautiful. Now, in a moment when I snap my fingers, I want you to lock that picture into your mind. Listen very carefully. Most important thing I'm going to say to you all morning. From this moment forward, you and you alone are in complete and total control of this state of mind. You're going to be able to get back into this state of mind whenever you want, very easily and very quickly. All you got to do to get back into this state of mind is pick a spot to look at, just like you did here. Take a few deep breaths, just like you did here, and then start slowly counting backwards from 5 down to 1. As you count backwards, you'll feel that relaxation coming over you. Your eyelids will close. By the time you reach the number 1, you're going to be even deeper than you are right now. You're going to be able to give yourself suggestions that are every bit as powerful as the suggestions that I've given you to reinforce what you've done here today. And then when you want to wake up, all you have to do to wake up is count forward in your mind from 1 up to 5, and you'll awaken feeling wonderful, rested, refreshed, relaxed, and in complete and total control. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and when I reach number 5, you'll awaken, and you'll feel just great, totally refreshed, relaxed, and invigorated, feeling better than you felt in weeks. 1, your arms and legs are waking up. 2, your mind and your body. 3, you're waking up feeling great. 4, sitting up straight in the chair, feeling fantastic. Sorry to do that to you. 5, wide awake. All right, how y'all doing?
Good.
Do you remember not being able to speak? Do you remember being in kindergarten?
No.
Hey, could you show her that piece of paper for a second? Do you remember writing that? No. Wasn't you, huh? Didn't do it, huh? How you do? You remember not being able to get up out of the chair? What did I end up? $500 I offered her or something? Oh, $1,000?
More than that.
That's going to be nuts.
More than
One of these days they're going to jump up out of the chair. I'm sorry, Lisa. I offered more than that at Greenleaf, didn't I? Didn't I have it up to $5,000 or $6,000? Depending on the subject. See, I never want to do it twice because you never know who's just faking it. One of these days someone's going to go flying out of the chair. What in the world's going through your head when you did not get up out of that chair for that money?
I just couldn't get up.
Rebecca, you don't have any memory of most of what you did up here, do you? Be honest, do you think you were hypnotized up here? You do? What makes you say that if you don't have much of a memory for it?
I remember.
Good logic.
I'm awake, I remember.
Do you think you're out of control right now?
No.
Wide awake?
Yeah.
Do me a favor, will you? Remember that spot you were looking at before? Just count backwards from 5 down to 1, see what happens.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Going horizontal. Oh, you think that's funny, huh? Check this out, Jack. Pick a spot to look at if you don't mind.
Okay.
Out loud, nice and slow, nice deep breath.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
These two, are they single? They should be together. There's a book called Hypnosis for Friends and Lovers. These two would be entranced their entire life. How you doing? Whoever you went to before, did they teach you self-hypnosis? Are you familiar with the technique? Do you know how to do it? Okay, then you don't need to learn it from me if you already know it. Do you know how to get yourself into a trance? Mm-hmm. Do you? Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. You don't need to learn it here then. I mean, these folks, I presume, have never had the experience before. You look like you're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sleepy right now. There you go. Take a nice deep breath. There you go. Nice deep breath. All right, all three of you now. Remember how you're feeling. And in a moment, Rebecca, when you wake up, you can remember everything that happened while you were up here. You too, sir. Everybody remembers everything. You're in complete and total control. You feel just great. You're going to be able to do this whenever you want and wherever you want. The count of 5, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sitting up great. Would you give these guys a round of applause? They are all terrific. Thanks a lot, you guys. Y'all can have really a shared experience there, huh?
Now I want one.
Thanks. You want your money? 20% at the end of the day. All right. Once again, a little demonstration, hopefully a little bit different than what you all saw at Greenleaf. Now to the business end of this. If you all have a seat, I'm going to ask you to look at your yellow sheet of paper. I'd ask you to jot down 4 or 5 long-term goals. Would you take a moment and circle one of those goals? And what I'd like to do between now and the time we break for lunch is go through kind of a group induction. I'd like to teach all of you a little induction that you can do at home. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes a day. Very simple, very similar to what you saw up here. Practice does make perfect. I assure most of you, if you will practice this, you can get as relaxed, as deep into the state of mind as you saw these 3 individuals. It's not hard to do. Rebecca, had you ever done anything like this before? Had you ever done any kind of, when you were a youngster, visualization? Do you have an imaginary friend? You do highway hypnosis a lot? See, I maintain the way you are doesn't happen by accident, that you somewhere along the line have learned visualization. You zone out frequently when you're driving? It's not where you want to zone out. let me try to scare you here. I had a state trooper once, a Florida state trooper that was a client of mine, and he told me that they have highway hypnosis cases where people get into that trance and they literally don't snap out of it. It's a very dangerous thing to be doing behind the wheel. And he said you could always tell highway hypnosis cases because there were no skid marks. What he told me, he says they drive right off the turnpike, right over the embankment, right into the pole, never even so much as move. You know, you don't want to be doing this on the highway. There are times when you want to be in a trance and times when you certainly do not. Flying light aircraft, operating a buzzsaw, mowing your lawn. Don't want to be trying hypnosis at those particular times in your life. All right, let me show you the technique, show you how to do this at home. I'm going to ask you to circle one of your long-term goals, and then we're going to kind of do a group induction here. The purpose behind this is to get all of you as deep into the state of mind as I can while I have you here. I'm going to leave you all with suggestions similar to what you heard me leave these folks with, that you're going to be able to return to the state of mind whenever you want, wherever you want, and give yourselves suggestions that are every bit as powerful as what we're doing here. I hope, sincerely, that you will take my lead and practice this. Practice does make perfect. I assure you, if you would spend a few minutes each day in quiet reflection, it will make a difference in your goal-setting process. It takes just a couple of minutes a day. You want to, when you leave here, find a time of day that's convenient for you. Maybe right before you go to bed, maybe right after you wake up in the morning, maybe during the lunch hour. You're going to want to spend maybe 5 minutes a day where you get comfortable, loosen any tight clothing, send the kids out to play, take the telephone off the hook, and just concentrate on your goals. If you do this every day for 21 days, most of you, by that time, will start noticing positive results. Of course, there are the cases of the very good subject that notice results instantaneously, but for most people, it's a very gradual change. You know, they do it every day for a couple of weeks, and they start looking back and saying, geez, you know, I am starting to produce more appointments, or I have been getting better at generating recommendations or referrals. I wonder if that's because I've been doing that visualization thing. It's very rarely where it's a direct, you know, cause and effect. It's not like you do it to stop smoking and you reach down and you can't find the cigarettes. You know, your hand won't go in your mouth. It's not like that. It's a very subtle change in attitude. Well, I just don't feel like smoking anymore. Or I see myself as a non-smoker. I wonder if I'm starting to think like that because I've been doing that visualization. So don't expect, you know, these dramatic results. It'll be a very subtle change when it happens, but you'll start being able to track it in your performance as you do it repetitiously. Comments or questions? Yes, sir.
What prevents people from being able to get into trance?
The question is, what prevents people from being able to do this? The 2 most common reasons are they are afraid of it, and of course fear will tend to interfere. The second, and probably more common reason, is that they try too hard. People will see very good subjects. That's why getting real dramatic with good subjects can be a detriment, because the average subject will look at the really good subject and say, I could never do that, or boy, I wish I could do that. So you tell them to imagine the tips of their fingers as magnets and they go, okay, what's next? You know, they want it to work so bad, they're interfering with it. When the correct or the true response is to just remain neutral. Just not help it, don't hurt it. You know, okay, I'm imagining they're magnets. Let me see what happens. Look at that. They're moving together all by themselves. It's not where, gee, I really want this to work, so let's make it dramatic. Yes, sir?
If Rebecca wants to get back into that state, right, she counts back 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
She's in that state.
Right.
She get out of it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look at page number 5 of your workbook, it tells exactly how to get into it and get out of it. You know, it's basically a review of what I'm about to do with all of you as a group.
Okay.
You know, and that's arbitrary. 5 down, 5 up. Some people do 10 down, 10 up. Some people do it reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts them into it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 brings them out of it. I mean, it's an arbitrary thing.
You can do this negative. You can use this negative.
It can be used negatively. Anything can be abused.
Yes. Could you, like, take Rebecca, for instance, and ask her to do something just completely against her beliefs? Would you do it?
The question on the table is, could I make or ask Rebecca to do something completely against her beliefs? All right, you've asked me a question. I will give you the complete answer. You will never be able to make a person under hypnosis do anything that they wouldn't ordinarily do wide awake. Listen to me. That's the pat hypnotist answer. Here's the truth. That's the answer. Here's the whole answer. Yes. In unusual circumstances, if you had one of the 2.14% that were the super subjects, it is possible to manipulate those people, if you so desired, to do something that would, under ordinary circumstances, be considered antisocial or immoral. All right, classic situation. Rebecca, at the count of 5, stand up in front of this group and take your clothes off. You asked, I'll tell you. She's not in a million years ever going to do that unless she would ordinarily be inclined to stand in front of groups and take her clothes off. You know, she's just not going to do that. In a million years, she will not do that. Oh, you all like that, huh? Look at that, you salacious group, you. Ew. Okay. However, and I got to be honest, Rebecca's not a good enough subject to do it with. None of the people I had up here today is that good. They were all great, but they're not that good. About 2% of the time, you run into these super subjects, and it's conceivable that you could manipulate them. You are not in the audience, in the seminar anymore. You're at home alone. It's a hot day. Don't you feel like taking a shower? You know, would you stand in front of your shower and take your clothes off to take a shower? Of course you would. But if you think that you're standing in front of your shower, and in fact you're standing in front of a seminar, are you doing something that you wouldn't ordinarily do? No, you're taking a shower. But a devious manipulator could have you doing something under different circumstances. So the pat answer, the thing every hypnotist will ever tell you, you will never do anything under hypnosis that you wouldn't ordinarily do, is true. What they don't tell you is the rest of the story. And the truth of the matter is that it can only be done with a very small percentage of the group, very small. And of that percentage, most of them will remember it at some time in the future. They might not remember it immediately, but a week or 2 or 5 weeks or whatever, you know, and boom, lawsuit, so you don't do stuff like that. But you know, you ask the question, that's the whole answer. Yes, sir?
The concept of a post-hypnotic suggestion, give them a stimulus.
Sure. Didn't do any today, but post-hypnotic suggestion is very viable. In fact, I did give it to him. I said, visualize your goals, see yourself. That is a post-hypnotic suggestion. But I think you're talking about something a little bit more entertaining, like at 12 noon, you'll pick up a pitcher of water and dump it over your head, something along those lines. Can you generate a suggestion that someone will do after the trance after they've emerged from the trance? Absolutely. Post-hypnotic suggestion is a very real thing. And in essence, what I'm doing by saying visualize your goals, you know, see yourself doing it, is a post-hypnotic suggestion. It's just not something you're going to see at noon. Any other questions before we begin? Well, it is a powerful technique, and it's something that most people are afraid of, most people do not understand, and the fact of the matter is, if you understood it, you wouldn't be afraid of it. I maintain the average person is spending 80% of their day in a trance anyhow. I mean, I really believe that. If you observe people in the course of normal conversation, you see them going in and out, they drift in and out thousands of times a day. It's just they're not doing anything with it. I'm just hopefully giving you a little understanding of it. Joe?
What's that say about her being able to recall the numbers and the people in her class? I guess it just shows the real power of this, the brain power that we really have, and to be able to store that for that many years.
There are 2 trains of thought when it comes to memory.
Okay.
There is what is known as the engram, where you have a neural trace, and then there's what's known as Jenkins' junk box theory. The engram says that eventually it's like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it will get weaker and weaker and weaker until it's totally gone. The Jenkins junk box theory says once a memory is formed, once you have made that connection, it's always there. Now you may have junk on top of it. You may not be able to see it because of all the junk on top of it, but if you could only somehow get through all the junk, it's always there. There are two trains of thought. The Jenkins junk box theory right now is winning out big time. One big line of evidence for Jenkins junk box is hypnotic regression. You can, I mean, you saw a real small thing today. You can get some unbelievable detail if you were, get the right subject under the right circumstances.
I think that's fascinating.
Another very famous experiment was done with cockroaches, believe it or not. You can take cockroaches, and cockroaches have an interesting tendency. If you wrap them in cotton, they hibernate to survive. They just stop moving. So they took two groups of cockroaches, and cockroaches only have like 6 neurons in their entire brain. They taught cockroaches that you go down the end of a tunnel and always turn left, and food will be there if you turn left. Now, if you don't teach them this, they an equal number of times will either turn left or turn right. But if you teach this group that they go left, it takes about 100 trials, but eventually they learn, go left, that's where the food is. So they took two groups and they taught both of them to go left for the food. Then they took one group and wrapped them up in cotton. So they hibernated. So what you had with that one group was passage of time with no interference. In other words, they had formed the engram, but they were not being interfered with. The second group went about its business. They were learning new things. You wait a week, you unwrap them, go back to both groups. The group that was wrapped up goes down, hangs to the left every single time. The group that wasn't wrapped up goes down and goes 50-50. They now have they have forgotten the task. So does the memory last? The theories are all very strong that the memory, once it's made, lasts forever. In cockroaches, right? We can state definitively that it does for cockroaches. Maybe different for mammals, I don't know, but there's a whole series of lines. That was that experiment that stuck in my mind, the cockroaches and the Jenkins junk box theory. Are there any other questions before we begin? Yes, ma'am.
If you have trouble visualizing or letting go,
Yes, ma'am.
Just by practicing it, you'll be able to do it?
Another very famous statement in this business was there was a famous psychologist named Clark Hull who studied hypnosis extensively, and this kind of famous statement is that hypnosis is a habit phenomenon facilitated by practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And the research has shown, I mean, there are some people that are naturals at it. You take 100 people, chances are you're going to get 2.14% that will just dive into a deep trance. They don't need much practice. They don't need much training. They're just very, very good at it. But you could also give a guitar to 100 people and say, I'm going to teach you all to play guitar. And there's probably going to be 2 or 3 out of 100 that are natural-born guitar players. Just pick it up right away, have an affinity toward it, just seem to be ready-made for learning to play the guitar. And then there's an average amount of time that people will take to learn the guitar, and then some people will never be able to figure it out, just aren't good at playing a guitar. Now, those people might be good at playing a piano, those people might be good at playing a saxophone, but they're never really going to be good at playing the guitar. So what's the analogy here? I know that in my groups there are going to be some of you that will never be good at this. But you may be excellent when it comes to listening to the tape, when it comes to putting yourself in a reward and punishment system. It's one of the reasons why I offer 3 totally different approaches. But to answer your question directly, the evidence indicates quite strongly practice makes perfect. Theoretically, nearly any of you in here, if you would practice it every day for a month, would be as deep as you saw Rebecca and Jim. Thank you. And Sandra. Any other questions? Let's begin then. Would you uncross your feet and uncross your legs, put your feet flat on the floor? I'm going to ask you to pick a spot about 45 degrees above eye level. Of course, these spotlights up here seem to work very nicely. Pick a spot. Keep your eyes on it. Don't take your eyes off of it. Make sure your arms and your hands are uncrossed. You don't want to be crossing your hands. You don't want to be crossing your legs. You want your arms resting comfortably. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Exhale. Completely. Again, breathe in deeply. Exhale. Completely. One more time now. Breathe in deeply. Beautiful. As you exhale, close your eyes down tight. But keep breathing slowly and deeply. Concentrate on relaxing. Concentrate on letting go. Now, in the next few moments, I'm going to be showing you a series of techniques all designed to teach you to become more relaxed, maybe than you've ever been before. Your entire body will be completely and totally relaxed by the time we finish this exercise. In a few moments, I'm going to begin slowly counting backwards from 10 all the way down to 1. Now, somewhere along in this count, you will probably begin to experience a sensation as if you are drifting off to sleep. A feeling you've experienced many times at night just as you fall into a nice deep sleep. Now, some folks feel this almost immediately. Some folks notice it in the middle of the count, and some people don't feel it until the last number or two. And it really doesn't matter when you experience it. The only thing that's important is that you experience it completely. By the time I reach the number 1, you'll be fully, completely, and deeply relaxed and able to respond to any helpful suggestions that you wish to. So just take a nice deep breath now. Breathe in deeply, and let's begin relaxing. 10. Relax the muscles in your feet and legs. Feel those muscles becoming loose and limp, relaxed and unwound. Tell the muscles in your feet and legs to go limp and just let go. Let go and relax. 10. Deeper and deeper into relaxation now with every easy breath you take. 10, 9. Imagine that loose, limp feeling, that relaxation is spreading upwards. Spreading up now into the muscles of your legs. And then into the muscles of your stomach and back. 9. You're going deeper and deeper into relaxation. Deeper and deeper with each easy breath. 10, 9, 8. Loose and limp and relaxed. The muscles now in your shoulders and back, arms and hands. Limp and loose and relaxed. 10, 9, 8, 7. Deeper and deeper. Deeper and deeper to sleep. Deeper and deeper with each breath you take. 7, 6. Concentrate on the muscles in your neck. Feel the muscles in your neck becoming limp and loose. Your head slowly falling forward and resting on your chest. The muscles in your face and jaws loose and limp, relaxed and unwound. If I touch your shoulders, it only helps you to go deeper and deeper and deeper to sleep. Deeper and deeper and deeper to sleep. Imagine that you are standing at the top of a staircase. The top of a staircase that is 5 steps high. As you look at the bottom of this staircase, you notice a large, soft, white bed with a large, soft, white pillow. Sleep deeper and deeper. As I count from 5 down to 1, imagine with each number I count, imagine you're taking 1 step down that staircase. Sleep deeper and deeper. Going 1 step deeper to sleep. Deeper and deeper. By the time I reach the number 1, imagine that you are lying in that bed with your head on that soft white pillow, experiencing a deep, sound, peaceful sleep, way down deep asleep. Now begin taking that first step now. 5. You're going deeper and deeper. Deeper and deeper. 5. Sleep deeper and deeper. 5. Take another step now. 4. 4. Sleep deeper and deeper. Sleep deeper and deeper. 4. Deeper and deeper. 3. Deeper and deeper. 3. 2. 1. Now sleep. Relaxed and comfortable. Deeper than you ever dreamed you could go. And going deeper and deeper with each easy breath you take. Your arms are relaxed. Your legs are relaxed. Every nerve, every fiber in your body is loose and limp, relaxed and unwound. Deeper and deeper now. Notice how heavy both of your eyelids are. Your eyelids feel like lead weights. Your eyelids feel like heavy blocks of lead. Your eyelids are so relaxed and so heavy that even as you try to open them, they remain tightly closed. Go ahead and try, but they're just so heavy. And they're getting heavier. And heavier. And heavier. And heavier. They just refuse to open. And the harder you try, the heavier they get. The harder you try, the more difficult it becomes. Relaxed and comfortable. Loose and unwound. Now use your imagination. Imagine that you are being transported into the future, to a time after you have already accomplished the goal that you circled here today. Imagine that it's sometime in the future and you have already accomplished this goal. Form a clear, vivid picture of yourself looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you wish to feel. And as you see this image, simply tell yourself, this is it. This is the way I want to look. This is how I wish to feel. Long after you have left this session, the mind that you dream with, your unconscious mind, will continue to help you in many new and fascinating ways. You're going to be able to return to this feeling anytime you want, any place you want, and you're going to be able to give yourself suggestions that are every bit as powerful as any suggestions that I've given you here today. And when you wish to return to this feeling, you can easily and quickly do so simply by counting forward in your mind from 1 up to 5, and then you'll awaken, feeling terrific. Take a nice deep breath, breathe in deeply. Exhale completely. In just a moment, I'm going to count forward from 1 up to 5, and you will awaken. Your eyes will open and you will feel terrific. However, just a moment after that, I'm going to count backwards from 5 down to 1. And as you hear me counting backwards, you will feel the relaxation coming back over your mind and your body. And by the time I reach the number 1, your eyelids will close again. Your body will become loose and limp, and you will go back into an even deeper relaxation than you are experiencing at this moment. As I count from 1 to 5, your eyelids open. As I count 5 down to 1, your eyelids close. 1. Your eyelids are beginning to open. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Eyes wide open. If you all look up here for just a minute, folks. Excellent. Now, would you pick that spot you were looking at before and just look at it for a second? And I want you to just kind of share this experience. I know many people who go through this aren't really sure if they're being hypnotized or not. I think this will give you a clear indication as to whether you are or not. Keep your eyes on that spot. Make sure your arms and your hands are uncrossed. Don't take your eyes off the spot. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. Beautiful. Exhale completely. Just remember what you were feeling like just a few moments ago with that relaxation. Just remember it. 5. You'll feel the heaviness. 4. Your eyelids getting heavier and heavier. 3. Closing now like 2 heavy lead weights. 2. Going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. 1. Now sleep. Way down deep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the way down now. Deeper than before. All the way down. Deeper, 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 deeper. Beautiful. Keep relaxing. Deeper and deeper. As I count from 1 to 5, eyes wide open. 5 down to 1, eyes closed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eyes wide open. Keep your eyes on that spot again. Don't take your eyes off it. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe in deeply. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sleep. Way down deep asleep. Loose, limp, relaxed, and unwound. Deeper than before. Deeper. Keep going. Just go deeper. Deeper, deeper, deeper. Beautiful. Deeper than before. Remember how you're feeling now so you can return to this sensation whenever you want, wherever you want, and give yourself suggestions that are every bit as powerful as the ones I've given you here. You are concentrating perfectly. You're going to be able to do this whenever you want, wherever you want, and give yourself any positive suggestions you wish. Now at the count of 5, you will awaken completely feeling wonderful. Wide awake, alert, refreshed, relaxed, and invigorated. 1. Your arms and legs are waking up. 2. Your mind and your body. 3. Waking up feeling terrific. 4. You feel better than you felt in a long, long time now. And 5. You are wide awake. Excellent, 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 excellent. Joe, you got some outstanding hypnotic subjects in this group. That was so much fun, I didn't want to end it, except we're a little over in our lunchtime here. All right, question. How many of you all thought that you were hypnotized? Can I see by a show of hands? Most people, even excellent subjects, don't think they were hypnotized. Do you think you were hypnotized, Melissa? Be honest. Don't know. Well, that's probably the best answer of all. Feet flat on the floor. Pick that spot you were looking at. Try to keep your eyelids open. Sound like an easy thing to do? Try as hard as you can. Tell me when you're really trying. Are you trying? Take a nice deep breath. Beautiful. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Melissa's obviously an outstanding subject. At the count of 5, wide awake, except see this arm here? Stuck like glue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes, can't move it. Try to move that arm, see what happens. Hard as you can. Now, Melissa, do you think you were hypnotized? Yeah. Okay. Try to move it now, see what happens. There you go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wide awake. Who else? Is there anyone else here who does not think they were hypnotized? I'm not saying that I got you all because I obviously didn't. But you don't think you were hypnotized? Oh, you're one of my better ones, Tom. I was going to use you here. Remember that spot you were looking at before? Mm-hmm. Keep your eyes on the spot. Be as objective as you can about this. Try to keep your eyelids open. Sound like an easy thing to do? As hard as you can. Are you really trying? Beautiful. Take a nice deep breath. Remember that feeling? Oh, it feels so good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Sleep deeper. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Way down deep. Sleep way down deep. Loose, limp, relaxed. And on a nice deep breath, Tom. Breathe in deeply. Beautiful. Exhale completely. Loose, limp, relaxed, and unwound. As I count from 1 to 5, when you reach number 5, you will wake up completely, but you will not be able to remember the number 7, Tom. No matter how hard you try, 7 is just gone from your mind. It's like there's an eraser that's just erased it from your mind until I touch your forehead. 7 just does not exist until I touch your forehead again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How you feeling? Okay. Where do you live? Do you know?
Brennan.
In Brennan? How much is 5 plus 2?
7.
Okay. Do you think you were hypnotized at that point? No. Sleep. Way down deep. Sleep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Deeper than before, Tom. Deeper. Deeper. There you go. Deeper. Keep going. Beautiful. Keep going. Now, at the count of 5, wide awake, feeling great. Relaxed, refreshed, and invigorated. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Are you really trying to keep your eyelids open? Mm-hmm. Then how come they're closing? Are you trying to keep them open now? Sleep. Deeper. Whoa, deeper. Count of 5, eyes wide open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your eyes on that spot. Try as hard as you can, Tom. I know you can do it. Are you trying? Are you sure? Great. Sleep deeper than before. 5, 4, 3, 2, and... Obviously a good subject. Count of 5, eyes wide open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tom, how come you're closing your eyes?
You told me to.
Oh, and that's the only... Okay, well here, Tom. Make $1 million, 100 apps a year. You got that? MDRT every year. Got it? Yes, ma'am. Sandra.
When I went through this before is, I think a lot of people don't think they are because they can hear you and they think it's a power of suggestion versus hypnosis. But you honestly cannot control what, I mean, like if you say lift your arm, you're going to lift it. And if you say you can't lift it, you're not.
The most common response, I have a little plaque in my office where a guy is floating above the doctor's office and the caption reads, I don't think I'm hypnotized because I can hear every word you're saying.
Right.
It's so confusing because they know what's going on and yet they're still doing it. You got them on stage hypnosis, you're going to laugh.
That's why some people think they aren't, because they're hearing everything you're saying and they think they shouldn't be.
Right, and in fact, you always will hear, if you use the analogy of daydreaming and highway hypnosis and trance net in front of a TV set, you're always aware of what's going on. You may not be paying attention to it, but you always know that the noise is going on in the background. So you never really lose it. How many of you could not open your eyelids and were trying? I mean, really gave it a shot? Can I see by show of hands? Now, how'd that happen? I did that deliberately to try to give you a little challenge. You know, I mean, if you don't think you're hypnotized, really try to open your eyelids. Don't make fun and don't, just play along. Really try and see what happens. And most people, that's the kind of shocker for them because they're sitting there saying, oh, all right, I don't think I'm hypnotized. I know I can open them if I want to, so I'll try. And then they go like, whoa, wait a minute. Then it starts to hit home that there's something going on here that's just a little bit different than what they're used to. Are there any questions or comments before we break for lunch? I've taken a little bit longer than I intended to. I got a little bit of a late start this morning, so we're going to break for lunch. Lunch is going to be right across the hallway. My question to you folks is, can you do it in 45 minutes? Sure. If you can do it in 45 minutes, if we reconvene at 1 o'clock, we'll be right back on schedule again. Have an excellent lunch. I'll see you all in about 45 minutes. I just have one quick comment before we bolt out of here. Folks, I'm going to take tape number 3 out of your tape sets. I'm going to remove tape number 3, and I'm going to load up all of your tape recorders, and I'm going to test them, make sure they're working properly. When you get back, tape number 3 will be in the tape recorder. Please do not play with the tape recorders or punch any of the buttons, as that may affect the outcome of your taping today. Enjoy your lunch. I'll see you all in about 45 minutes. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Got a question for you.